Hello, friends. Let's talk about some things that you should be in the habit of batching out for your business. And these things will help you out in the long term, especially if you plan on bringing on a virtual assistant later on. If you plan to do everything yourself until eternity and you have plenty of time and you don't get flustered or overwhelmed, then these probably won't be that helpful for you. But just in case you're like most of us who get overwhelmed with all of the things, then focus on these three, and I think you'll feel better. All right, the first thing that you should get in the habit of batching is social media content. Big surprise. And I know that this is like a touchy subject for a lot of people because we all think that it takes a long time, because it does. We all think that it might not be worth it, and sometimes it really isn't. But at the same time, the process is sometimes really good for us, right? Sometimes it just feels nice to express yourself on the internet, and if it happens to fall on the algorithm front page of the right person on the internet, then it's worth it, I suppose. Personally, I'm trying to make intentional steps away from relying on Mark Zuckerberg to do all my marketing for me, but I get it. Social media is a thing. And so if you want to get into the habit of batching it, then you're going to have to, first of all, designate some time, a regular schedule. It doesn't have to be like super blocked out in your calendar if you're not like that kind of person. Personally, it never works for me to block things out into my calendar. Like, I'll just ignore it. But if you think of it as chunks of things that you need to do in order to have a full batch of social media content ready to go, then here are the components that I think that you should focus on. First in your social media is just the planning, like deciding how much content you want to create and writing it down so that it's in front of you and could potentially be passed on to somebody else who also has eyeballs to read it. So you have the planning, and then the next step after you've done the planning, not moving on beforehand, right? Planning first, the number of posts or whatever it is that you want to get out there. And then the next step within that is to create those videos and graphics. So just the assets. Usually that means a video or a graphic or a carousel and some kind of written content, because that's usually the caption or the on-screen text. So you want to have all of them created, okay? You're not making just one, but you're making all of them. And you're not posting them just yet. Like, maybe you'll do the one for today. If you're really cutting it close to the deadline, then you can go ahead and do that. But you're planning out these things in advance, and then you're creating the videos and the graphics, and then you move on to the scheduling part, where you have the whole list of all of the captions, all of the hashtags, all of the videos and carousels. And then you sit down for a good hour. It really won't take that long, honestly. Once you get into the groove of scheduling and creating these things in chunks, then it'll go a lot faster. You're going to sit down and schedule all that stuff, and then you'll be able to just kind of cruise for a few weeks, right? Depending on how many content pieces you create and schedule out. So that is how you want to look at your social media content. Don't see it as a perpetual thing that you have to always have in your pocket or in the back of your mind. Most people who are really good at social media or who are thriving on social media platforms aren't doing it on the fly. They have someone else doing it for them, or they're sitting down in the privacy of their own office or their home and creating things in one big batch ahead of time. So you're actually seeing the stuff that they worked on like last quarter. The second thing that you should get in the habit of batching is your financial stuff. And by financial stuff, I don't mean just looking at how much you made every day, because I know that we all do that anyway. Like, we're checking our inboxes, looking for that, payment received, purchase received. But what I mean is like updating your expenses, keeping them all in one place so that when tax time comes, you don't have to flag them all down. And by that, I mean I find it worthwhile to pay for QuickBooks on a monthly basis because it automatically pulls everything from my business account and sorts it for me, at least most of it, not all of it. But taking the time to look at it, make sure that it seems accurate, that it's not making things up on its own. Just sometimes software does that. But even if you're not using something like QuickBooks or some kind of accounting software, maybe you hire an accountant to do your taxes, and so you don't mess with all the software and all that stuff, then at least having a spreadsheet that has all of your expenses. Like maybe you have one tab that says all of your monthly expenses that you are expecting and the dates that they usually bill onto your business credit card or debit card. And by the way, if you don't have a business bank account, like get one immediately so that you can start building that up and having that in place for grants and loans and all that stuff. But if you're just using a spreadsheet, make sure that you're tracking all of your expenses. And if you have a one-time expense, then put it on a stack in your office or, on your desk or on your, put a binder clip on it and put it on your key rack, wherever you're going to see it, and return to it often. Have the papers in hand so that you can scan them or do whatever, but don't try to do it every day as soon as you get those invoices or receipts and bills. Keep an eye on due dates. I mean, at this point in your business, if you're a solopreneur, you're probably not doing anything that's on a line of credit, but just in case, keep track of the due dates of all those things, but make sure that they're consolidated in one physical place if there are physical papers that are printouts that you have to reference later, or get in the habit of flagging receipts so that you can find them easily, maybe at the end of the week. For me, Fridays are good because that seems to be when the internet disappears and no one's really responding to anything. So I just take Fridays as my back end day where I just work on things that need to be cleaned up. So keeping those expenses in line. Also things like your own owner investment into your business. If you are personally funded, then I hope that you have a business bank account. And when you're investing in your own business, I hope that you're just putting money into the bank account rather than paying for everything off of your personal credit cards. You know what I mean? That's not really an investment and that's harder to track. But if you have everything consolidated into a business bank account and you're personally investing in it, then at least that's traceable. Obviously, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a certified bookkeeper or anything like this. But if you're curious, the book that I like to reference is Run Like Clockwork, and it's by Mike Michalowicz, and it's actually really helpful. It's very hefty. There's a lot of detail in there, and so it might be better if you just go to his website and grab the PDF explainer of it, but it's actually really cool because it's a simplified version of having your books in order and also feeling like you're getting paid for your business even if your business is not turning a profit yet. It's pretty neat. So I recommend that. Whatever your financials are, make sure that you create some kind of system where you can return to them and keep track of them on the same date every week. If not for the sake of organization, but just for your own sanity, because sometimes it can really eat at you if you feel like you should be paying attention to something and you're just not. And you might be saying some not so nice things about yourself as a business owner that don't need to be said because really you're doing your best and you just need to put some things together. And so the financial stuff is often a big component of that self-talk or that negative self-talk. So just decide on a schedule for revisiting your financials, even if they depress you, because that's a real thing. But also so that you have a schedule to visit when they actually are fantastic. Because you should have that appointment with yourself. If you were working for a company and you got to be in the room when they say, we made this much money and these are the people that we served and we really made a difference this week, then you would want to be there, right? And that would feel good. You can do that for your own business. Okay. So just create that schedule. You're in charge. So you do what's right for you. And now the third thing that I want you to get in the habit of batching is your networking. And by this, I don't mean schedule all your calls on the same day. I mean the follow-up or the outreach. So reaching out via email to the people that you said you would follow up with or that you're interested in just checking in on. This happens a lot if you've been in a bunch of programs, masterminds, memberships where you made some good connections and you just want to be able to follow up with people and keep that relationship going. And I don't mean that in the gross kind of yeah, this is a business relationship. Let's really, I don't know. There's a certain way that I don't like talking about that because I have certainly had my share of women being like, oh yeah, we want to help and uplift each other. And it's like, no, you just want to use me. But let's assume that there are lots of good people that you want to keep in contact with. I'm talking about those people, not the skeezy ones, but the good ones, right? The people that you were like, dang, I really like them. I want to keep in touch. Keep in touch with them. You decide on a day, maybe a day of the week, that you reach out to all those people. Maybe you write their names in a note on your phone when they come to mind, and then you forget about them. But on a certain day of the week or a certain day of the month, I don't know, maybe you can do like the first of the month is when you decide to reach out to people. And so hopefully you can grab all those people, or you can designate like 30 minutes on that day to think up all the people that you would like to catch up with. You track them in a spreadsheet, probably like an Excel spreadsheet or a Google sheet, and you use templates. And I don't mean like extensive spammy email templates, just like a few sentences that you know are written, that you write in your own voice, like, hey, blank, I'm going through, let's see, it's me, Rochelle, from and then, you say where you know them from. I was wondering if you wanted to have a quick call to catch up and just talk about what's going on. And because I miss you. I mean, I'm the kind of person who will just say that, but or maybe you say, because I'm trying to stay on top of my networking efforts and I hope that's okay. Or I hope that we'll be able to keep in touch over the long run, even though our program is over. Something along those lines that isn't too salesy or weird or suspicious. And just, write it however you would write it to like a good friend, because in my opinion, the people that you're networking with should feel like good friends. I don't really like having for business only relationships, but I don't know. That's just me and my extremely feelingsy, compassionate way of doing business. But yeah, you can decide for yourself how you want to go about that. Other ideas for keeping track of your networking are to write down your LinkedIn connections, like check out your new LinkedIn connections. Look at your most active fans on Instagram and TikTok, like the people who are always commenting, the people who are always liking. Those are worth a phone call, right? And then lastly, people who open your emails regularly. So if you're using an email service provider, then it will show you who's opened your emails and who has not. There are probably people in there who are really active and actually following and opening every single email that you send them, possibly even several times, right? Those people are worth talking to too. So gather all these people, put them on a list, meaning like a spreadsheet of some kind, and then batch out your outreach. Make sure that you track who responded, who you end up talking to, and then you'll feel a lot better when it comes to doing, staying organized and all that stuff. So to wrap up, the 3 things again were your social media content. That included the planning, the videos and graphics, the scheduling and the prepping of everything, all in batches so that it can go a lot faster than thinking them up on the fly. The second one is the financial stuff, which was the updating your expenses either in QuickBooks or on a spreadsheet. Also tracking all of your owner investments into your business account and just making sure that the business account is nice and clean in case you ever need to use it for a loan or a grant application. And then finally, your networking. Reaching out to the people that you really want to keep in touch with via email, most likely, but also keeping in mind that, it might be LinkedIn connections, or it might be active fans on Instagram and TikTok, or the people who are really engaging with the emails that you send them. So I hope you found that helpful. Let me know if something else comes up for you that you think should have been on this list, but otherwise get on that batching wagon. Do yourself a favor and just make things easier. It'll be a little weird at first, but it'll be worth it in the long run. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.